Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be jumping into the exciting topic about real estate investing and real estate financing down here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I have a lot of clients and I have a lot of people always asking me, hey Hans, is it possible to finance? I have some money, I want to finance, I want to buy a property, but I want to finance. I don't have all the entire money. I don't have all the entire funds right now. Can I finance? Can I finance, right? One of the questions that I get asked very often. So in this video, we're going to be talking exactly about that. Can a foreigner finance? What are the requirements? What are the steps? Is it even possible? Are there possibilities? What are the options? Let's deep dive into all of these things so you have a better understanding and better knowledge when it comes to the financing of property down here in Mexico. Hello everyone. For those of you that don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Hans Weisfeld, local real estate agent down here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico with Katia Home. And today we're gonna be diving into real estate financing here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So when it comes to financing, it's very important for you to know all the options available for you to make the best decision possible when it's time to purchase that property that you are looking for. So to start things off, let's just say that historically, properties here in Mexico have always been purchased in cash. Like most countries in Latin America, it's always been cash. Probably 90-something% of the time it's been cash transactions. However, thanks to the Mexican economy, the government, and the market down here, things are slowly changing and slowly evolving. Little by little, more banks are offering financing for both national and foreigner investors and buyers, which that is a very good sign of prosperity and growth. Some Mexican banks are now offering financing for foreigner buyers. For instance, down here in Puerto Vallarta, we have a bank called which already announced that they have a financing options available for both American and Canadian. Okay, their requirements are 35% down, and they look at the financing requirements very similar to how they look at it in both the United States and Canada. Checking credits, checking income, checking DTI, which is debt to income ratios, checking everything that they need to go through in order for them to let you borrow the funds. Of course, this makes sense. All the requirements are going to be very similar all over, right? You want to make sure that the borrower meet all the requirements so they will be paying you back, right? That's the idea. You don't want anyone to default. So they have all those same requirements, some a little bit more than maybe what they have in the States. For instance, foreigners living in Mexico and have FM2 or FM3 visas, they have more options and more possibilities to financing than someone who does not. So again, having the temporary residence and better yet the permanent residence will help you tremendously into getting financing. So just to be clear, financing with Mexican banks is possible. It's definitely complicated, but it is possible. So if you really wanted to go that route, it could be a route. Again, 35% down. There's some minimum requirements as with price range. Again, we could get into more details. I don't want to make the video too long, but there are some minimum requirements when it comes to that. So that's going to be for national banks financing to foreigners. So it is possible. Very few banks do it. Down here in Puerto Vallarta, we have the Intercam Bank that does it. So that could be a possibility. There's other restrictions and requirements when it comes to it, but we do have that option if you need it. Now, another type of financing option is going to be some companies called cross-border financial institutions. Okay, so these are some companies from the States that are now helping foreigner Americans finance down here in Mexico. Okay, so there's a few companies that do these. These are probably going to be a much better option than doing the Mexican traditional route. Again, it's very important for you to check both and compare, right? The Mexican may have higher interest in the American financing. However, maybe the financing has a little bit more restrictions or a little bit more requirements. But when it comes to the most of the requirements, it's going to be very similar to the States, right? Your credit scores, income, DTI, and all these other things that any bank will look at. Okay, so that is going to be another possibility. Right, they do have some minimum requirements. Their interest rate is a little bit lower than the Mexican banks provide. So there's pros and cons to every single one, but we do have that possibility if it was something that you were interested in. The next option is going to be like anywhere in the world, seller financing. Is not common here at all, but I have seen it once or twice, so it could possibly be a solution for you. Maybe if you know the seller, maybe the agent that you're working with, happens to know the seller, and the seller may be okay with this, doing some seller financing, maybe with the balloon payment, within a few years. That could also be a possibility. So again, there's always possibilities out there, right? So if you do want a property, just make sure you reach out to your agent and you get started with the first steps. Let them know what you're looking for, kind of start filtering out what properties you're interested in, seeing price ranges, and then start determining different options when it comes to financing. Last option is going to be the developer financing. Okay, so down here in Puerto Vallarta, we have multiple various new construction projects all over. There's always new construction projects going on down here in La Bahia. So a lot of these developers do offer some type of financing. So some are going to require, maybe a 20% down and then financing the rest. Some may offer 30% down, financing the rest, right? So when it comes to the financing part, what I've seen mostly, the most common, is that every single month you do have to pay a certain amount until the project is complete. So if the project is going to be done in, in 24 months or 36 months, that means you have, 36 payments, 24 payments until you meet the entire, balance, due of the property before you get keys and you could close on that property, right? So that's going to be the most common that I've seen, a little bit up front and then monthly payments paying towards that property. And then of course you always have the option to do a HELOC or to do a cash out refinance on your property, depending how much equity you have in your property, in the States or in Canada. If you could pull out some of that money and buy property down here. It's probably a very common way that many foreigner buy property down here, is by pulling out the equity they have in their their primary reserves on their investment properties. And if you do need help pulling out money from your primary or your investment property, reach out to me. I am also an agent in the United States since 2016, so I'll be more than happy to help you with that, and I'm sure I could have someone in your state help with that. So you could pull out equity from your property and buy something down here with that money. You just need to really make sure, and this is very important, that you know what you're doing as with pulling out equity and buying another property, because now you're gonna have that monthly payment, right? If you're going to pull out the money to buy a property here, use it when you're here. When you're not here in Puerto Vallarta or wherever you're buying, you're renting it and it's making you money, then amazing, right? Because you just got yourself another property, it's getting paid on its own, amazing. But if you're just pulling out money, buying a property, now just remember and know that you're gonna have that monthly payment for pulling out that HELOC or that cash out refinance. Okay guys, again, if you need help with this, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you. We can sit down here in person, or we can do a Zoom call. We can go over different numbers, different financing options for you. But just keep in mind that most transactions down here are cash. Again, the developers, pretty common, putting down and then doing the monthly payments, but most, over 90%, are still cash. Very few are financing. So if you're, if you don't have the funds yet, if you do want to finance, then that's fine. There's going to be a possibility. It just know it's going to be a little bit harder, a little bit tougher, but it's not impossible. And I'll be more than happy to help you out with that if you need it. All right, everyone, I really hope this video has helped you understand a little bit more about the financing. And if you're looking to invest down here in Puerto Vallarta, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. You have all my contact information down below in the description. I'll be more than happy to get you settled down here, go over different options, and do a one-on-one private Zoom call or meet here in person. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Every single week I come out with videos talking about Puerto Vallarta and real estate down here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.